Hey everybody, it's Brita for The Happier Attorney, the channel where we talk about flat fees and about mindset and how you can be a happier attorney. So I am in the process of starting to learn how to make sourdough bread. Now, if you're like, how in the world is that relevant to me? Why are you telling me this? Just hang on. I swear it's relevant. Here's some background. I've made bread for decades. I could make it without a recipe. I got to the point where I could make it without a recipe. And I had always wanted to try to make sourdough bread. It's better for you. It's a higher skill level. And I remember getting one cookbook on sourdough bread, and I started reading it, and I was like, holy crap, no way. Absolutely not. This is ridiculous. This is like having a child, like having an infant or something. And so I didn't do anything with it for years. Well, I started up again because I'm living in a place that I can't just go to a good bakery and get really good sourdough bread on a regular basis. And I like baking, and it kind of bugged me that I couldn't do it. So, and a friend of mine was giving classes. So I started it up. And I'll tell you, whew, it's hard. The first 3 times I tried, it was just a disaster. And I followed the recipe, or so I thought. And I just got this big thing of mush. One of them I threw out because it was absolutely inedible. It was absolutely inedible. And it's now, I think I'm on my 7th or 8th loaf, where now it's edible. It still looks like crap, but at least I'm getting to the point where it's edible. And my friend who's teaching me, the first couple of times that I'm texting her the photos and I'm getting all, she said, just chill, sourdough drama mama. And she reminded, she's like, and her loaves are beautiful. She's like getting this Instagram following based on how beautiful her loaves were. And she said, yours are a lot better than mine were at the beginning. And as I'm going through this process and kind of making fun of myself, because my expectations were ridiculous. I expected to get it right away. I was disappointed when loaf after loaf, it's not looking the way it's supposed to look. I forgot that it's a skill. It takes people years to get this. That's why a good loaf of homemade sourdough bread is like, oh, okay. I also wasn't giving myself credit for what I did do. I made my own starter, and it worked. It's kind of a big deal, okay? And I had to laugh throughout the process because I remember my attorney clients, and I think of all of the attorneys who will get online and say flat fees don't work. I tried it once and it didn't work. And I want to ask them, and hopefully not in a snarky way, but I want to ask them, I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You tried to do something that you haven't ever done, that you had no real instruction on doing. No one taught you how to do it. You tried it one time and you didn't get the results that you expected, and so flat fees don't work. Am I getting that right? And I have to laugh, and again, I'm not trying to be snarky, but that's how we think as attorneys. Like, I should try this and it should work the first time. Even if I don't have instruction, even if I don't have a recipe, even if no one's taught me. Is that a reasonable expectation to have of anything? Of course not. Like, have you tried to do anything else in life and that works? Give me a break. You put a paintbrush in most of attorneys' hands and tell them to go paint a room, it's going to look like crap. And that's a pretty, I would generally say a pretty low-level skill, except for those who have painted a room. And they were like, actually, it does take a little bit of skill. So likewise, flat fees take skill. How do you get the skill? You keep doing it. You do it and you evaluate, okay, what went right, what went wrong, and you adjust and you try it again. And if you are fortunate enough to have a recipe, that is going to fast track your learning. And if you're really fortunate enough to have someone who is teaching you, holy cow. I remember I made a batch of breadsticks and it was hilarious. I posted it on my Facebook because they look so bad. Well, thankfully, my friend, I sent her a picture. She's like, oh, you overproofed it. Calm down. You overproofed it. Okay, I know now. I know. And then I try again. And you know what? I bet the next time it'll be a little bit better. It's not going to be like hers. That's a while away. That is many, many batches away. I remember in law school, I did photography. And I was good enough that I worked for Ford Modeling Agency doing model testing. But I will never forget, I went to Yosemite and I had my nice camera and my good lens. And, I was a fashion photographer. And I went to Yosemite and I took photos. And this was film days. It was before digital. And I got the contact sheets back. And I'm not kidding. This is so embarrassing, but it's true. I expected them to look like Ansel Adams photos. I mean, maybe not that much, but I did. I expected them to be really good photos. Did they look like Ansel Adams photos? No. And again, I talked to my photography mentor, and she said 10,000 rolls. This was rolls of film. She said you'll start to get over the hump after 1,000 rolls. 10,000, you'll start to get good. That's what it takes. So when you are, and flat fees are a skill. It's a little recipe. If you get the recipe, that's awesome. A little bit of knowledge, a whole lot of skill, a little art. Don't worry about the art yet. Worry about getting the skill. You can't give up the first time it doesn't work. And define what doesn't work means. You did it. Not everybody's going to buy off, and there's sometimes when you're going to underprice. That's how you learn. I'll tell you, I'll have new attorney clients of mine. They start off and they're scared, and they'll say a price. Almost immediately, they're like, well, I'm never doing it for that price ever again. That was way too low. That's how they learn. And that uncomfortable feeling of, I just screwed up. That's how you learn, so you don't do it the next time. Now, again, if you have the know-how, if you're learning how to do this, if you have the recipe, then your mistakes are going to be more confined, and it's going to be easier for you to figure out where you went wrong. Okay, but there's only a finite number of ways that you're going to screw this up, okay? But you keep going. You keep going. And you learn. And I'll tell you, just like the sourdough bread, is it going to be worth it to me to learn how to do this and get it down? Absolutely. Even now, the bread that I'm making tastes better than most bread I've had at good bakeries. I mean, not like in Paris, but I'm making good bread. Even now, I can't imagine what it's going to be in 6 months from now. So even when you start out, even if you're making mistakes with flat fees, you're still, my prediction, you're still probably better off, unless you are completely underpricing. Okay, unless you are completely violating everything I say in the Happier Attorney. Okay, where you don't have a structure, you don't have your time limit, you don't have your stages. Okay, but evaluate. Say the price. Evaluate. Oh, immediately. Oh, and I bet you're going to say, "Oh, that was a little low. That was a little low." And then the next time somebody comes in your office, you remember that and you adjust. And it won't be very long if you keep doing this that you start getting it. And it becomes easier and you become more comfortable. But you have to keep at it. But when you say, "Oh, I tried it and flat fees don't work. I lost my shirt." You lost your shirt because you didn't know what you were doing. That's not a flat fee problem. And I'm not saying that to be snarky. I say that with respect. That wasn't a flat fee problem. That was a you not knowing what you were doing, or you underpricing, or you not having boundaries, you not following the formula, and then you giving up and going back to hourly. Don't give up. Figure out what the problem is. Everything is figure outable. And if you can't figure out what the problem is, call me. I'll tell you instantly what the problem was. And yes, the benefits of flat fees are so incredible. It's absolutely worth trying, adjusting, and figuring it out. Okay? But have some realistic and reasonable expectations. You are not going to get this right off the bat. It's insane to think you're going to. Don't do that to yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. And we attorneys tend to have absurd expectations of ourselves a lot of the time. Okay? But you can't give up. Keep at it. Remember, 10,000 rolls. Now, you're not going to have to do this 10,000 times before you get good at it. Okay? You're not. It's going to go a lot faster than you think. And again, if you learn how to do it, it's going to go even faster. But the ultimate way to learn how to do something is to do it. Is to just get on the bike and start pedaling. That's how you learn. So I hope you've gotten something out of this video. Like, subscribe so that other attorneys can get it and learn, and we can really change our profession. And if you want more information on learning flat fees, just go to happierattorney.com. Take care, y'all.